are bred and trained and groomed for their special life as carefully as a prince of royal blood. They are examined for conformation, carriage, and appearance, like beauty queens or a movie star. But they are, above all, athletes, and racing is their destiny. To win takes the breeding and the training, but it takes something beyond that, something that horsemen call simply heart. They are thoroughbred, and Maryland is where they were conceived. The American poetess Mary Ann Moore wrote a memorable line: to see the vision and not deny it, to care and to say that you care. In other words, put yourself out on a limb if you would really accomplish something. Well, a group of people in Maryland racing and breeding did that, putting the past and their personal differences behind them, looking into the future and seeing what could be. They saw a day of racing that would become a festival and a homecoming for all the people of the state. $1 million in purses for the progeny of Maryland stallions, a project in which they would be joined by business and industry, racing fans, and citizens who just love the state of Maryland. And on the 18th of October in 1986, it happened. On a beautiful autumn day at Laurel Racecourse at precisely 1:30 in the afternoon, it happened. The Maryland Million was in the starting gate.
They're off. In the U.S. F&G Maryland Lassie. Taking the lead from between fillies, Short Fuse Susie. In the curl, moving up on the outside second. In the curl on the outside now, pokes ahead in front. Short Fuse Susie is dropping back. Smart Halo is in the center. Sheltered Star on the far outside now, looming boldly. They've got a 16th of a mile to run. In the curl continues to lead. Smart Halo on the outside. Smart Halo pokes a nose in front.
The Maryland Million became an international event with its first race. The U.S. F&G Maryland Lassie was won by Canadian-owned Smart Halo, a 2-year-old daughter of Winfield Farms' Smarten. Jack Mosley, board chairman of U.S. F&G, became the first person ever to present a Maryland Million trophy. The Maryland Million, a dream comes true at Laurel. Maryland's first $1 million day was a success from the first post time. A crowd of more than 20,000, the largest in several years at Laurel, wagered more than $2,600,000, the second largest handle in the track's history. More than that, the enthusiasm and the pride in being Marylanders was evident, from the sponsors in the Sky Suite to the fans along the rail, many of them coming to the races for the first time in their lives. What is the Maryland Million? Well, quite simply, it's a series of 9 races with total purse money of $1 million. 9 races, all to be run on one day. To be eligible, a horse must be the progeny of a Maryland stallion. That is the one basic condition of the races. There's a race for $200,000, one for $150,000, 6 for $100,000 each, and 1 for $50,000. There's never been anything like it at the state level. Never was anyway until October 18th, 1986. For every race, there is not 1 but 5 trophies, because part of the Maryland Million's purpose is to reward all of those who make racing what it is: the owner, the trainer, the jockey, and the nominators of the stallion and the horse. All of the trophies were especially designed and executed by the famous Waterford Crystal Company of Ireland. The permanent trophy is the largest bowl ever made by Waterford. Jim McManus, board chairman of Business Express Airline, watched from the Sky Suite as his race, the Business Express Maryland Nursery, for 2-year-olds at 1 mile, was run.
3/4 in 1:13, they're into the stretch. First Patriot has the lead by 2 lengths. Sutton flares along the rail second. Yet Wave is third. In between horses, Make Music fourth. 70 yards to go. First Patriot leaving the field.
First Patriot made news with his victory. He is the very first horse ever to race from his sire, Salutely, a son of Hoist the Flag. First Patriot was, of course, conceived in Maryland. Later, his sire moved to Virginia, but immediately after the Million, he returned to Maryland, to Alfred Vanderbilt's Sagamore Farm, to take further advantage of the Maryland Million program. In the third race, the Ryland Group Maryland Turf, the favorite was a star from the stable of the legendary trainer Woody Stevens. The colt's name matched his coat that day. Glow is his name, and he was on his game for the Million.
Glow on the outside now gets the lead. low in front by a length. Where's Bob on the outside? Rollicking Redskin along the rail. Air Dancer on the far outside with Icelander along the rail. Mike Cantwell marching Lord and Lord's Wish. They're into the stretch. Under a steady left-handed whip, Glow continues to lead. Air Dancer on the outside is coming on second. They're in deep stretch. And the son of the great Northern Dancer, Glow, is in a runaway. Glow in front.
Glow's daddy could be proud of him. Northern Dancer, the most successful sire of all time, the pride of Winfield's Farm and the Maryland breeding industry. Sponsor Ted Peck of the Ryland Group liked what he saw.
Exciting to see how many people are here, how much fun they're having. It's good, clean, healthy fun, and we're enthused.
So the first 3 races had produced a foreign winner, the son of a freshman sire, and a son of the world's most famous stallion as Maryland Million Week rolled along. For example, as I speak to you, it's Thursday evening, and I'm in the Baltimore Museum of Art. Behind me, one of the great equine art collections in the world, the William Woodward Collection. It's been owned by the Baltimore Museum for a good many years now, but hadn't been exhibited publicly in about a decade. For the first time, though, an art museum, a racetrack, and a racing event joined together to have an exhibit of these works. It would last for 6 weeks. This was a special preview opening night for our friends and sponsors. Among the works here by the great George Stubbs, by Sartorius, by the Herrings Sr. and Jr. It was a great evening. Actually, however, Maryland Million Week had begun yesterday, Wednesday, the day before, in a very different mood. We had a golf tournament for the benefit of the Maryland Million Youth Fund at the Hobbits Glen Golf Club in Columbia. The day was cool and bright, the course was challenging, and the golf, well, some was good. And some, not so good. In the end, the golf tournament was a pleasant start for the first Maryland Million Week, although one observer did comment that, in a sense, we were putting the cart before the horse. Golf cart. The horse was much in evidence at the party at the Baltimore Museum of Art. Frank DeFrancis was the host. It had been the Laurel president's idea to have a reception and a preview of the Woodward collection for sponsors and special guests. Laurel also sponsored the entire run of the exhibit in behalf of the Maryland Million. It was a unique receiving line: the art museum director, a racetrack owner, and a sports reporter. Katie Voss is president of the Maryland Horse Breeders Association. She also is a prominent trainer. And what a day was waiting for her on Saturday. Katie and her parents, Mr. and Mrs. John Merriman, had a family date with destiny in the 4th race, the Omni International Maryland Oaks.
They move to the top of the stretch. Martin Quick comes on to challenge Maya Mafalda for the lead. Notches Traces dropping back into 3rd. Miss Rudy T, Azerbaijani, Sunset Gun. Weak Moonwalking, Fancy Feathers there into the stretch. Smart and Quick has the lead by a length and a half. Miss Rudy T on the outside is now coming relentlessly. Smart and Quick is now fighting to stay there. Miss Rudy T on the outside is looking her right in the eye. We've got a dandy here in the Omni. These two boys to the wire.
It was family day in the winner's circle. Henry Knott Jr., president of the Omni International Hotel, presented the trophy. A day that honored Katie and her parents, the owners, and honored the memory of Smart and Quick's deceased sire, Wise Exchange. Some people wondered what a bank was doing sponsoring a horse race, the First National Bank of Maryland Sprint Handicap. Bank President Charles Cole explained.
Well, a number of reasons. Number one, of course, is that horse racing is the 3rd biggest industry in the state, and we're very much in favor of economic development as a banking institution. Therefore, we wanted to be involved in an enthusiastic way.
Favorite King Swan was down from New York, but his rider, Vince Bershali, known as Jimbo, is a longtime Maryland favorite.
Along the rail, count the dots, ranging up on the outside, War Campaign, followed by Aprilson and Hope Me Die. The half in 46 and 2, they're turning into the stretch, and 3 horses are vying for command. The Canadian Invader gains along the rail, Polka ahead in front, Color Me Smart. Safe on second between horses. Cool Joe on the outside, and here comes the champ, King Swan on the outside. Can he make it? 3 horses are still going at it. King Swan could get it all, and he does. 7, what an effort. King Swan wins it.
Later, King Swan would go on to win the Grade 1 Bossburg Stakes in New York. Well, now it's Friday night, and this thing is really beginning to look like a reality because the first program for the first Maryland Million was just given to me about, it really is actually still a little bit damp. So it's seeming like a reality because everybody's here. We're about 700 people, not only from all over Maryland, but from all over the East and from other parts of the country, and all of our sponsors are here, and so far they seem to be more than reasonably happy. So are the people here. They've been talking about the Maryland Million. This is what some of them had to say.
I guess in my time, I've been in Maryland racing and breeding for 30 years, and I've never seen anything that's created the excitement that this has, really. It's such a broad-based excitement. You know, it's not one or two people that have the big horse. It's spread. It's the fellow you had lunch with yesterday, or the young lady that fox hunted with you last week. It's a friends and neighbors type of thing.
It's the biggest thing that's ever happened. It's a whole day of racing with nothing but Maryland horses in it. It's marvelous, and it's all owed to Jim McKay, because it would never have happened without him.
Only a fella with his ability could do it in 1 year, you know, and I salute him, and I think this is going to build in the future, and each year is going to get greater.
We have a writer here, a local writer named Bob Mazel. Bob Mazel hasn't missed a World Series game since 1955. I mean, he has seen every game since 1955, and you know what? He's not going to see the World Series the first two games. He's going to stay and cover the Maryland Million.
It's just been amazing to have all the corporate involvement, the breeders and the horsemen and the two tracks getting along here so well. We don't do that very often, you know.
We've had a problem for years and years with the horse breeders and the horse owners and trainers, the racetrack operators. Could never really get on the same page, and this has brought us all together, and everyone is totally dedicated to the success of this brand new spanking baby that we're going to launch.
The role of the sponsors in the Maryland Million was a vital one. Never before, anywhere, had a complete day's race card been favored with sponsorship by companies with the quality of those whose colors appeared on Million Day. The blankets, a gift of the committee to the owners of the horses, will be seen on shed rows from Florida to New York to California for some time to come. Approximately half of the money for the Million came from the Maryland Horse Breeders Association, the Maryland division of the HBPA, nomination fees for stallions and progeny, and entry fees. The other half came from the sponsors, and without the cooperation of any of these groups, the day simply wouldn't have happened. The state of Maryland itself was a sponsor through its Department of Economic and Community Development. Rich Wilkie, the Million's executive director, had moved his career and his family to Maryland when the event was still a dream. Now it was a reality.
The half in 46 and 2. They're into the stretch. Kept it off. And Jerry Bailey have the lead by a length and a half. Two Lindas. The Gray Filly on the outside is now closing with a rush. They're inside the final 70-yard. It's Cap It Off in two Lindas. Stay Home is third. Cap It Off in front.
This was an all-Maryland winner's circle. Governor Harry Hughes presented the trophy to a representative of longtime Maryland owner-breeder C. Oliver Goldsmith, who was ill. Cap It Off, a daughter of Double Zeus, was born at Mr. Goldsmith's Maryland farm. David Reynolds had waited patiently. Now it was time for his race, the Eskimo Pie Maryland Ladies, with a purse of $150,000, second largest of the day. The favorite was an outstanding Grade 1 stakes winner, Dismasted, trained by the well-known P.G. Johnson. Later in the year, Dismasted was runner-up for an Eclipse Award.
All standing nicely and about ready to go. They're off in the Eskimo Pie Maryland Ladies. Alden's Ambition sprints clear on the outside with a Joyful Spray second. Between horses, Dismasted is third. Ranging up on the outside, turn to TJ. Martin's Choice between fillies. Cheshire Kitten along the rail. Etta Carene. And the early trailer is Lady Emerald. These fillies and mares now sprint around that clubhouse turn, race to the backstretch, and the early leader by about 2 lengths is Alden's Ambition. A Joyful Spray is second by a length and a half. The prohibitive favorite gains along the rail. That's Dismasted, who is racing third. Turn to TJ, now ranging up on the outside, fourth. Gap of 3, Cheshire Kitten is fifth, followed by Etta Carene on the outside, Martin's Choice along the rail, and Lady Emerald. quarter in 23, the half in 47. They have a half a mile to run in the Maryland ladies. Alden's Ambition continues to lead by a length and a half. Here comes a Joyful Spray in the second. 3 wide on the outside, and going right after the leaders comes Dismasted. A gap of 3 lengths. Turn to TJ is fourth, followed by Etta Kirinay, Lady Emerald. Cheshire Kitten is dropping back in Martin's Choice. 3/4 at 12 and 1. They move to the quarter pole. Dismasted on the far outside now sticks her nose, her head, her neck in front. Dismasted gains command. Alden's Ambition along the rail with a Joyful Spray in the center. Here comes Etta Kirinay with some late foot between horses. Turn to TJ on the outside. A 1/16 of a mile to run. Jean-Luc Samine goes to work on Dismasted. She holds sway. A Joyful Spray is second. Dismasted with the Eskimo Pie lady.
Winning owner Ned Evans is from Virginia, appropriate since Eskimo Pie is based in Richmond. Jockey Jean-Luc Samine is French, but Dismasted, like all the others, was conceived in Maryland by a restless native at Sagamore Farm. It was time for the day's richest race, the $200,000 Budweiser Maryland Classic at 1.25 miles. Press was on hand from most of the major racing centers. Television coverage was nationwide by Thoroughbred Sports on the ESPN network. All 9 races were seen on the 2-hour telecast, another Maryland Million first. In Maryland, the live outlet was Baltimore's WMAR-TV, Channel 2. Budweiser was the principal sponsor of the day and the first to sign on. Anheuser-Busch Executive Vice President Mike Rorty told how it all began.
A fellow that we're very fond of at Anheuser-Busch is Jim McKay, Mr. Olympics. And we were at the Breeders' Cup together a year ago, and after we left, he said, I'm going to talk to you about something. And a few weeks later, he called me and he said, I got an idea at the Breeders' Cup that Maryland, with its wonderful history of horse racing and the breeders who are there, including himself, should have a race, something similar to this, and we should call it the Maryland Million or something of that kind. And of course I said, that's a great idea, Jim, because I usually agree with anything he said. And then he said, would you agree to become the first corporate sponsor? Well, I was halfway in by that time, so I said, of course we would agree to be, and we're very, very pleased that we did.
The favorite was another son of Northern Dancer, Herat by name. His owner, John Franks, was the winningest owner in the country. His trainer, Jack Van Berg, is the all-time winningest trainer worldwide. And a victory by Herat would make him the richest son Northern Dancer ever sired.
We've got one more to go in. That'll be I Am the Game. And we're just about ready here for the Budweiser Maryland Classic. And they're up in the Budweiser Maryland Classic. Herat between horses is going to the front. I Am the Game. Moving up on the outside, second. Due North is third. Sparrow Von quickly between horses, fourth. Castellet's is next. Epilogue and Brilliant Stepper. Past the stands the first time as they race to the clubhouse turn. Herat snugly on the rail, has the lead by a length and a half. I Am the Game on the outside is second, 3 parts of a length. Sparrow Von is third, gap of 2. Due North is fourth. Followed by the gray horse, Castellet's. Next in line is Epilogue, and yet to get on track in the early going is Brilliant Stepper. They straighten out for their long run down the backstretch, and Herat, the even money favorite, bounces along in a 2-length lead. I Am the Game on the outside is second by a nose. Right alongside in third, Sparrow Von. Due North follows in fourth. Castellet's, Epilogue, and Brilliant Stepper. The quarter in 23 and 3, the half in 47 and 4, continuing down the backstretch. Herat continues to go easily on the front end. He leads by 4 lengths. Sparrow Von is now second by a length and a half. I Am the Game third. Due North is now closing up on the rail, followed by Castellet's, Epilogue, and Brilliant Stepper. 3/4 in 1:12 and 1. They move around the far turn, and Herat continues to lead by 2. Moving up on the outside, second, Sparrow Von. Gaining along the rail, Due North with Castellet's coming quickly. That's all for I Am the Game. Brilliant Stepper's coming quick along the rail, and Epilogue. The mile in 38 and 1. The real running starts now at the top of the stretch as Herat, trying to make every pole when he won, continues to show the way. Herat, Castellet's, and Ellen Stacy are now under a full head of steam on the far outside, with Due North on the rail third. They've got their work cut out for them now because because Jerry Bailey is taking her at coast to coast.
Mike Rorty presented the trophy to owner John Franks. Mr. Franks, like 4 of the other winning owners, has a Maryland base, his new breeding farm called Heatherton in Chesapeake City. One race remained, the $50,000 Thoroughbred Arc Maryland Handicap. This was one for the owners of claiming horses, the backbone of the sport. To be eligible, a horse had to have run for a claiming price of $15,000 or less in 1986. The race proved to be a fitting climax to the day and the telecast. Although New York-based, London Market, the winner, was not only sired but also bred in Maryland by Four Bros Stable.
3/4 and 1/12 and 2. They're into the stretch. Vandy's Friend has been joined by Tufton on the outside. Cupola now looming boldly in mid-stretch. London Market on the far outside. They're inside the final 1/8 of a mile. Vandy's Friend going the race of his life is strong on top. Tufton on the outside is second. On the far outside, London Market and a driving finish.
Of the 9 winners, 3 were bred in Maryland, 3 in Kentucky, and 1 each in Florida, Virginia, and Canada. The point had been made that Maryland stallions sire winners at home and across the continent. Of the $1 million in purses, almost $600,000 had been won by horses owned or trained by Marylanders. Never had Maryland horsemen won that much money in a single day. Stallions whose progeny finished first, second, or third ranged from the world's most famous stallion, Northern Dancer, to Count Brooke, who stands for a fee of $500. Laurel President Frank DeFrancis and his partners, Bob and Tom Manfuso, had done a magnificent job of presenting the day's card in a setting befitting the sport of kings. Every member of the Maryland Million Committee had contributed significantly to the day's success, from the early days when money was short and skepticism was widespread, to that wonderful day at Laurel when the realization exceeded the hopes. And the future? Well, the future lies here, on the green fields of Maryland, where thoroughbreds have grazed since George Washington's time and before. And whoever you are, how old or how young, whether you're from Maryland or somewhere far from here, perhaps one day a mare of yours will produce the son or daughter of a Maryland stallion who will race and win in the Maryland Million. Yes, the future is what the Maryland Million is about. No one knows that better than Chick Lang, general manager of Pimlico, the host of Maryland Million 2.
Yeah, I'm like a kid waiting for Christmas, waiting for tomorrow. You know, I get very much involved in the spring of the year, practically all year round with the Preakness. And next year, this is going to be run in Pimlico on September the 26th. And to be very candid with you, I can't wait till September 26th of 1987.